No, he's not allowed to come to the table. JP, take a look. This is your kaleidoscope for the next 3 years. Twist it. It changes just the way higher education does. It changes just the way what we do in quality assurance does. It changes just the way future generations of students change. It changes just like technology. It changes just like every day we encounter. So when we think about what we're doing, remember, and we saw it on a screen today, change is the only constant. JP, congratulations.
Thank you. I'll stand up and take it from you.
You are the current president of INQAAHE.
I'll handle it with utmost care and respect. Thank you, Carol. It is such a historic moment that you have created, and there is a special touch of Carol that it has. We are in the process of making history, and she has added a special touch by creating this tradition, which is now a new. When we are turning 25-year-old, I think she has added another beautiful tradition to it, and this is something what INQAAHE makes us learn. Every time, every second, we become richer with learning experiences. Thank you, Carol. And with this, I take this opportunity to present my remarks as the new president of INQAAHE, and I have coupled it with an item called new initiatives. So I am going to mix it. Some of my remarks, they are mostly in nature of thanking all of you and letting you know that what does this mean. I'll explain you what does this turban means also, but I will explain. I will try to thank each and everybody to make this kind of history here. I think we will try to finish, but I think I have estimated a time of 30 minutes for this talk, and I would like to listen from you also. I have requested many of you to be present so that you can join in sharing the dream. Carol has been talking this now, not now this year, but also in previous conferences, that we together have to think of a dream. We need to think about big things and have a vision for INQAAHE. So I'm going to briefly outline that and invite your comments, suggestions, and support so that we can work together in next 3 years. I have a support of my board. I think we'll continue to do that. So I'll briefly get into this. Dear friends, colleagues, brothers and sisters, today I stand here as the president of the International Network for Quality Assurance Agencies in Higher Education. This is a historical occasion you have heard at the opening ceremony. This is a historic occasion because for the first time, INQAAHE is being held in America. There is another reason for which this is a historic occasion. For in the first time, in the 25 years of the history of INQAAHE, all of you have decided to vote somebody who is an Indian, somebody who is an Asian as the president of INQAAHE. So I think this is something you have made real history this time. Not only this occasion is historic, I think Chicago itself is a very, very historic city, and it reminds me of one of the great saints of India, one of the great philosophers of India, Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, long back in 1893, he participated here as the representative of our country in what it was called World Parliament of the Religions. And what he advocated here was, as the different streams having their sources in different paths which may take through different tendencies, various though they appear, all lead to thee. So it means all the paths, all different religions, we were talking about diversities, all are different ways to reach the same goal. And that became a very historical speech, and he was invited world over by a representative of all the religions to make a speech about his thoughts on religions. That is a speech in Chicago which is considered as one of the all-time great speeches of the world, as equivalent to the Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address or Nelson Mandela's speech at his trial in 1964. Such a historic place Chicago is. It has always been very close to my heart, and I feel really privileged and humble that I get an opportunity to talk to you, talk to the INQAAHE global community in this historical city. I feel very humble to be at this global organization that represents voice of the international QA community. Stalwarts like David Woodhouse, he is there. Richard Lewis, he is there. Maria Jose, she is there. Carol Bobby. These people have led this organization. Such a great people, such stalwarts have led this organization with great integrity and dignity. Experts from all over the world, such as Lee Harvey, Anthony Stella, then Marjorie Slade, Nadia Badrawi. I'm not taking few names, but there are so many people who have contributed to this great organization. And I really feel humble and think that from where I get courage and strength to carry forward this great legacy. The sheer burden of expectations that come with this post makes me very nervous. I have never been so nervous in my entire life. I have given good amount of speeches, hundreds of speeches all over the world maybe, but this time I have been very nervous because of sheer burden of the expectation that I represent probably the aspirations and the dreams, that the vision that you people have. You thought that he is the man probably who can take lead and do such things. So that burden of expectation is making me very, very humble. But what gives me courage? Probably the fact that I do not represent myself here. I do not represent myself here, but I represent many worlds within this complex and diverse world. I bring here all those experiences, all those expectations to this table. I wish to tell you that I hail from a very small village in India. This small village called Titwe is not even a tiny patch on the map of India. This is a place actually where there is, till today, there is no bank, there is no hospital, there is no high school, no bus comes to that village. This is one of the hundreds of the villages in my country, and I come from that place. I have lost my father in a war. India and Pakistan have fought almost 3 wars, and I am one of the sufferers. I lost my father when my mother was pregnant. So I represent actually the war-hit families who suffer every time and now, how their education suffers. I have seen. And let me tell you, my friends from Pakistan are here. I'm proudly telling you that I have most cordial relations with all my Pakistan colleagues, and I acknowledge that most of them have voted for me. So I think we have learned this kind of feelings of how to come out of this hatred, how to come out of these situations, and I bring the feelings and emotions of thousands and millions of families who are affected, whose education is affected, whose everything is affected. We bring those feelings to this table, and I can add that perspective when we are talking about diversity. Today I stand before you wearing this typical turban. This is a symbol of my place. I come from a place called Kolhapur, and this is called Kolhapuri Feta. So this feta would recognize, and I am very happy to share with you, I have someone who understands the value of this turban. I have Mr. INQAAHE Powar. Can you rise please for 1 minute? He represents not only Indian community, he's no more Indian, he's US born Indian. He is on the Council of City of Chicago. He comes from, his parents come from the India, but he is representing now City Council of Chicago, and I think maybe I want to take advantage of this speech and want to hand over this mic for 1 minute because he wants to say something. Mayor of this city was supposed to come